Incredible. So here, so I make decisions based on self or fear. They set off these trains of circumstances. Misfortune happened. I don't feel I don't deserve. I get pissed off, resentful, angry. And yet I keep going back to the same fear, making more decisions from there, more sets of circumstances. Yes, you see it, yeah? What AA does is it upsets or interrupts that loop. And so you make a decision, yeah? Let's say based on hope. You've heard the program, you go into your first meeting, and they go like this. They go, hey, Paul, come back tomorrow. And you go, okay, I hope you're right, I'll come back, you know, with the idea that it's going to keep me sober. Sit in the front, listen to the speaker. Okay, I hope you're right. Hey, get a commitment. People who have commitments seem to stay sober. Okay, I hope you're right. Yeah? So I started to make decisions based on hope. What happened is they set off trains of circumstances. Yeah? But now those circumstances started bringing me fortune I feel I don't deserve. What happens to me when I have fortune I feel I don't deserve? I feel gratitude to what I believe brought me the fortune, which is the program. Yeah? So the loop of self got broken by making a decision, first on hope, because I had no belief yet. I hadn't come to believe that something had restored me to sanity, but I just took a chance in a sense, and the hope immediately, very quickly turned into belief, yes? Because it works. It's not a false advertising campaign with a, oh, you will be okay later. No, it actually produced relief. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't getting arrested. I found a place to live. And I didn't have to act like I liked someone to have a place to live. I got my own fucking place. Yeah? I rented a room, this and that. All this, so I started making decisions. Quickly, the hope changed to belief. Now, life sometimes, trains of circumstances bring me misfortune. But now I have the eyes to see the fortune in it. Yes? I can see like the silver lining of a bad cloud. Where before, when I was out there, I would see the misfortune in fortune. Now I see the fortune in misfortune. Yes? So here I'm going. I'm going into this process, and the process doesn't stay on as a belief. It turns into what? It turns into faith. Yeah? Which to me is like the emotional sobriety. Now I have an assurance, though even though it doesn't look like it's going to work out, it always works out. Yes? It always works out. This is so beautiful. The whole mind has been shifted from the basis of fear to faith. And I'm telling you, everyone has faith. Faith has a potential to manifest here by the vehicle it's put in. If you have faith in a failed system of thought, that faith is going to produce anxiety. You're going to be scared shitless because you're going to be worrying about what's not happening all day. You're going to be sitting here not responding to we're being invited to now, but worrying about some fucking idea. I'm going to be destitute next week. Oh, they're going to leave me. My girlfriend's sleeping with my best friend. It's not happening. Yes. But to you it seems to be. So that faith in the thought system that's failed produces anxiety. The same faith put into, let's say, centeredness produces an ease and comfort in your own skin. It's the exact same energy. It's just what it's put in. What the program does is shifts it from a failed system and puts it into a reliable system. It's just sort of like taking a rose bush that has the potential to bloom but never blooms because it's in a small pot with lousy soil, not getting much water, and no light. And if it's self-centered, it's probably blaming itself for not blooming. Yeah, it's probably thinking, I am the only rose bush that can't bloom. I am so terrible. But if you took that rose bush and put it in a bigger pot with good soil, some water and light, it's going to freaking bloom. That's exactly what happens to the alcoholic. You take him out of the failed system and put him into a system that works, and that addict that looked like it was going nowhere starts having an incredible life, contributing instead of taking, all like that. Yes? This is the beauty of this total radical shift of mind. So here, so it says we reviewed our fears thoroughly. We put them on paper, even though we had no resentment in connection with them. We asked ourselves why we had them. And this is the answer to every one of them. Every one of them. No matter, Let's say there can be thousands of manifestations, yes? His solution is one. He says, why do you have all this fear? Isn't it because self-reliance has failed you? Your mind is relying on a failed system of thought and interpretation called self-centeredness. The center of it is identification as a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. It's a failed mental system. It's producing exactly what it will produce by its own nature. Just like a snake, if you take care of it and feed it, it's still probably going to bite you because its nature is of snake. This is a failed system. It's going to fail you. Yeah? We're just shifting from a failed system to a workable system. The only dilemma is if you're identified as self, when you leave the failed system to go to the solution, you're going to go to the solution as the failed system. This is what was added unto me. I didn't see that until it was introduced to me, that when I leave the problem as the problem, I'm the problem still. If the problem is identification as self, when I'm leaving what I call the problem, I'm leaving it as the problem. I'm going to bring the problem to the solution, and it's going to be the problem that has the solution, which is going to limit the effects of the solution, because it's going to influence the solution greatly by its claiming it. This is the second rub I hadn't seen until 11 years sobriety. When that was shown to me and I entertained it, I started to experience radical relief from alcoholism, and that relief has stabilized now for years. That's why I share it, because it works. I mean, the diagnosis was close to the truth, but wasn't the truth. The diagnosis is identification as self is what is allowing self to defeat me. It wouldn't have the carte blancheness into my life unless I was identified as it. There would be aspects of life I wouldn't let it enter if I saw it as foreign. I'm not seeing it as foreign. I'm calling it me. It's using my life to have one of its own. It's not even my life. It's using life to have one of its own. And its idea of living is interpreting. It's not living because it doesn't fucking exist. It only appears to exist. And it can only appear to exist in an interpretation, just like in a character that's fictional can only appear to exist in a story. It doesn't exist. It's fictional. This is the same way. It cannot live because your fiction would be obvious to mind. It appears to live in a story. So that's what we're living as, a fictional character in a story that can never leave the pages of the story because it doesn't exist anywhere else. It only appears to exist in our heads. This is the freedom of spiritual awakening. You awake to your real nature, which is of spirit, not of materialism, not of interpretation, not of concepts and thoughts, but of a living, sloppy, organic event. Yeah, like a being, like a verb, not a noun, a verb. Yeah? It's only the selfing that tries to turn a verb into a noun. We become the noun, and now everything's happening to us. But everything is just happening. It's not meant to be taken so personally. It's just what's happening here. It's like a giant flood of events. And we're part and parcel of that. We have never stopped for 1 second and become a solid entity. We're a verb. We're a being.